In the heart of Chicago, where the city's pulse beats to a rhythm of struggle and hope, a story was being written, not with pen and paper, but with a worn-out basketball on cracked asphalt. This is the story of Jonas Carter. Growing up, the world didn't give Jonas much. Raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly just to keep the lights on, their life was a constant battle against the odds. Poverty was a shadow that followed them, and hardship was a familiar guest at their dinner table. But Jonas had something the world couldn't take away, a dream. And he had a beat-up basketball, his most prized possession. Every night, while the city slept, Jonas was wide awake. The flickering streetlights became his stadium lights, and the empty chain-link courts were his Madison Square Garden. The rhythmic thud of the ball against the pavement was his soundtrack, a lonely echo that bounced off the brick walls and into the cool night air. Dribble, shoot, rebound, dribble, shoot, rebound, over and over. Each drop of sweat that hit the ground was a promise he made to himself. Each strained muscle was a testament to his will. This wasn't just practice, it was survival. It was his way of carving a path out of the circumstances he was born into. He was fueled by the quiet strength of his mother, who never once let him see her despair, and by a fire within him that refused to be extinguished. The journey was anything but easy. High school was a proving ground. He faced opponents who were bigger, faster, and had every advantage he didn't. He was overlooked, underestimated. There were tryouts where his name wasn't called, games where he barely left the bench, and moments of doubt so profound they nearly broke him. He saw friends take different paths, swallowed by the streets he was so desperately trying to escape. The heartbreak was real. The loneliness was heavy. There were nights he'd come home, collapse onto his bed, and wonder if all the sacrifice was worth it. Was he just chasing an impossible fantasy? But then, the sun would rise, and he'd remember his mother's tired but hopeful eyes. He'd remember the feel of the ball in his hands, and he would pick himself up, lace up his sneakers, and head back to that empty court. Grit became his closest friend. Discipline was his guide. Years passed. The boy from the block grew into a man, his body and spirit forged in the fires of adversity. His skills, once raw and unpolished, were now sharp, precise, and breathtaking. College scouts started to notice. A scholarship offered a glimmer of a new beginning, a ticket out. College basketball was a different world, a brutal arena of talent and ambition. But Jonas was no stranger to a fight. He applied the same relentless work ethic, pushing his limits day in and day out. He studied the game, broke down film, and lived in the gym. He learned to be a leader, to lift his teammates up, to be more than just a scorer. And then, the day came. The NBA draft. A day he had played over in his mind a million times under those flickering streetlights. Sitting with his mother, her hand clutching his, they watched as names were called. The tension was unbearable. And then, it happened. His name echoed from the television. Jonas Carter, a professional NBA player. In that moment, the weight of 1,000 lonely nights lifted. The years of struggle, the tears, the sweat, it all culminated in this single, perfect, unbelievable second. The look on his mother's face was a mixture of shock, pride, and overwhelming joy. It was a victory not just for him, but for her, for their family, for every kid on a cracked court with a dream. He had made it. The kid from Chicago was going to the league. Walking into an NBA locker room for the first time was surreal. He was no longer the lone kid on a forgotten court. He was surrounded by a mosaic of talent from all walks of life. There was the veteran point guard from a small town in Ohio, the towering center from Serbia who barely spoke English but had the kindest eyes, and the flashy superstar from LA who seemed to have it all. At first, Jonas felt like an outsider, a rookie trying to find his place among giants. But the court is a great equalizer. On the hardwood, their differences faded away. They bled together. They fought together. And slowly, this diverse group of individuals started to become something more. They became a team. They became a brotherhood. They shared stories of their own struggles, their own journeys. The Serbian center, through a translator, told Jonas about growing up during a war. The superstar from LA confessed the immense pressure he felt to live up to everyone's expectations. Jonas realized they all had their own battles. They weren't just teammates. They were a second family, bound by a shared love for the game and a mutual respect for the grind it took to get there. They pushed each other in practice, held each other accountable, and celebrated every small victory. The locker room, once an intimidating space, became a sanctuary of laughter, support, and unbreakable camaraderie. The rookie season was a roller coaster. There were gut-wrenching losses that left the team silent and searching for answers. There were nights when Jonas's shot just wouldn't fall, and the roar of the crowd turned into a murmur of doubt. The pressure was immense. The media, the fans, the constant travel. It was a world away from the quiet court under the streetlight. But through it all, his new family was there. After a tough loss, the veteran point guard would put an arm around his shoulder and say, "We'll get the next one, Rook. Head up." They learned from their mistakes, they rallied around each other, and they came back stronger. And then, there were the wins. The breathtaking, down-to-the-wire victories that made every sacrifice worth it. The sound of 20,000 fans screaming his name. The feeling of hitting a game-winning shot as the buzzer sounded, and being mobbed by his ecstatic teammates. In those moments of pure elation, Jonas saw it all clearly. He saw the kid practicing alone, the determined teenager, the hopeful young man. He saw his mother's proud smile. He saw the faces of his brothers, his teammates, who had become his family. These victories weren't just for the stat sheet. They were for the soul. They were a testament to their collective resilience. As the seasons went on, Jonas Carter became a star. But the bright lights and the fame never blinded him to what truly mattered. He learned a profound lesson, one that can't be taught by coaches or read in a playbook. He learned that greatness isn't measured in championship rings or endorsement deals. It's not about the roar of the crowd or your name in the headlines. True greatness is found in resilience. It's in getting up after you've been knocked down, time and time again. It's in the quiet strength to keep going when no one is watching. Greatness is about unity. It's about recognizing that you are stronger together than you could ever be alone. It's about lifting up the person next to you, celebrating their successes as your own, and having their back when they fall. It's about building a family on the foundation of trust and respect. And most of all, greatness is about never, ever giving up. Not on the court, when the game is on the line. And not in life, when the challenges seem insurmountable. Jonas's story wasn't just about a boy who learned to play basketball. It was about a man who learned that the heart of a champion beats, not for glory, but for the love of the struggle, the strength of the team, and the unbreakable belief in a dream that started on a lonely court in Chicago. If Jonas's story inspired you, please hit that like button, and consider subscribing for more content that celebrates the power of the human spirit. We'll see you in the next one.